Hi, Mandy. How's it going?
It's good. How are you, Sam? Christmas
Not
is
too bad.
over.
Not too bad. Thanks for asking. Thanks for agreeing to do this interview.
Yeah,
I'm
my pleasure.
I'm sure that there are many people out there who can use your experience to feel more comfortable on the day of their test and hopefully perform better and gain the results that they're seeking. So
Yeah.
once again, on behalf of all of the viewers, I'd like to thank you.
Oh, I hope somebody gonna find use for this.
I'm
Me ranting about my experience.
No, I'm sure there will be plenty of people out there. Okay, so Mandy, first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself, specifically about your background in learning English.
Oh, okay. So I'm from Vietnam. I moved to Canada about 4 years ago. Learning English is always a part of my life since I started elementary school. Mostly because I think my parents just have high expectation in me. So it wasn't fun when you were a kid and you forced to take like lessons and go to extra class after your real class. But well, I was growing up. I grew up in a house where I have a lot of cousins, and like all of them very, let's say, successful. Um, we have this traditional in our house about how you have to be better as other language, so specifically English. We used to all go to this teacher house every weekend, one specific teacher to study English, and get it started from there. I was never a good student. I was always the shadow of my cousins. They're all so great.
I find that
Um,
hard to believe.
no, seriously, I was bad. I didn't like to study. It was just something I did to make my parent happy. But then after that, most of my cousins started to leave the country
Hmm.
and to go study overseas. And that's actually make me wonder, maybe I want that too. So I have to say, I got influenced by my family a lot to the point where I don't know if I'm doing this guy like it or not. Anyway, so we passed that. I tried many times to apply for scholarship and overseas program when I was still in high school, and none of them I got actually. I never succeed in doing that.
But you
Um,
you eventually came to Canada and you did a
I
program
eventually
there,
did
right?
that. Yeah, after I graduated from my university,
Right.
I said, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time. And then at the time, there's this program that Canada offers to Asian country.
Hmm.
It's like if you got this score in IL, then you're allowed to try out one of our program
I
in
see.
one of our college or university
So
that you
you
don't
came
have
here
to.
and you studied for a program here in Canada, and then you needed to take a language proficiency test, right?
No, before that, if I wanted to come to Canada without
Oh,
having to give in a lot of money, then I
right.
have to prove that I'm capable.
So
So
you took the what exam?
I took the IL at the time, so it was like 3 years ago. Oh, no, 4 years ago. I took the IL.
You took
Um,
what were your scores?
okay. I don't remember specifically. Oh, I think I do. So I get 8.5 for reading,
Well
eight point
done.
five for listening,
Wow.
6.5 for writing, and 7 for speaking. That
Well
was
done.
my score. Yeah,
Wow.
for
But that was
academic.
the academic, right?
Yeah, that's the one. So like I used to
When
have a lot of
you
time.
went to Canada, you needed to take the IELTS again. Why was that?
Again, oh, because I'm trying to apply for PR.
Oh, I see. Okay, and what tests did you take first?
Oh, I took the IL first again earlier this year. So it was in, I think it was in May. I think so. Yeah, I took the IELTS again this year in May. It was IEL General,
Uh-huh. And what
and
were your results?
the result was very bad. So it was worse than the first time I took IELTS. Actually, I only got A for reading, I think 7.5 for listening,
Yeah,
6 for writing, and 7 for speaking.
interesting.
So
Okay. And
yeah, it
which
was not that
skill did you needed to improve? Why did you decide?
bad.
Yeah.
I was desperately need to improve my No, writing. Yeah, writing and speaking. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so
In
those are
order
the
to get
skills
the
that
highest
you.
score in for immigration, I need to improve those skills.
Okay, so what made you decide to take CELPIP?
It's funny because I was talking to one of my again cousin. She's in Australia, and she was kind of mentioned to me it's so hard to get a high score in IL writing. So I'm like, maybe I need something changed. I need to change something in my approaching here. So I look over CELPIP. There was a sample test that they provide free on their website.
Yeah.
And I took their sample listening and sample reading. And I came to a conclusion that it's much more easier for me compared to IL. Because I think the topic just very general and everyday life, and I happened to study 2 years in the college with surrounding with Canadians. So, and Selfish make it specifically for like Canadian, how to say, not like Canadian experience. What do you say that? How do you
Right.
say?
It's designed for
Right.
the Canadian setting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the one. Okay, so I think that gave me an advantage, and I was like, yeah, why not? And I find it's easier to do the listening and the reading, and so that's left me with only writing and speaking to practice on.
Okay. Now, tell the viewers about your results.
Oh yeah, talking about that, that's a great part. I managed to get the maximum score on listening and reading,
And that's
to my
what
surprise,
score is that? So
and
that's
that was
12.
12 for both of them. Yeah, and for some miracle, I also managed to get 11 for writing, and a 9 for speaking. Yeah, a 9. So
12 for reading, 12 for listening, 11
11.
for writing, and 9 for speaking.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's a 9.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How much time did you spend to prepare for the test?
So I started studying self-pip like for real from September this September to 2020, and my test was was in November, so in the middle of November. So I would say it's about roughly 2 months of practicing, intense practicing.
Okay. And what were your thoughts going in to the exam? Like when you were going into the exam, what were you worried about? What things weren't you certain about? Tell me about that.
Yeah, here's the thing. So when I first took the IEL 4 years ago, I would like to think that I scored kind of well for the first time person. So the second time when I took it in Canada earlier this year, it was like a hit, like I can't believe I got this kind of score. What's wrong with me? To be fair, I didn't study at the time, but still, what's wrong with me? You would think that you would improve, but I wasn't at the time. So coming in, when I went to the self test, I was kind of intimidated. I feel like, okay, if I screw up this time, there's gonna be no excuse. It's gonna be just me, and I'm just this bad, and like it's just a lot of pressure. It's also during up COVID, and I also was taking a risk because I live with other people too, and that's a risk coming into a test center. But the test center I went to is in Markham, and it's kind of take the COVID uh, distancing very seriously. So when I went into the test side, there are only 10 people, or no, not only 10, 5 people in the room with me, excluding the examiner. So yeah, and it's pretty quiet because we sitting so far away from each other, and you would think that if you do the speaking test with the computer, you would hear other people speaking so loud, but it wasn't my experience at all. I was able to have a quiet sitting. Yeah.
So were you worried about the distractions before you went in?
Yeah, I'm like, what if they start talking and I start listening to them, but not like focusing on my test? But it wasn't a problem at all. I can barely hear the person. And to be honest, if you able to hear them, it's not going to be a big deal.
I see. And which skill were you worried about most?
Um, to be honest, I'm most worried about speaking. That there are like 8 questions, and that's just crazy. Why do you need 8 questions? Yeah, and also I was worried about whether the microphone gonna be able to pick up my voice or not, and what if something goes wrong? You just never know. I also worry about the listening because there's no playback. You can come back and listen again, and because in all of my exam tests I only score around 11 or 10. Like, it's never the maximum score. I never like score all everything correctly. So yeah, I was worried about that. And yeah.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah, you were going to say something.
one thing that is better about CELPIP that I have to let everybody know is that the time when I went to take the AIL earlier this year, the examiner actually put a lot of pressure on us. Like they would took us in the exam room like I think 45 minutes. Oh no, in my situation, it was like an hour before the exam. They make us sit there, and they didn't let us go out for washroom or anything.
Hmm.
Well, I asked, but it was a bad experience for me, and everything just built up the pressure. And you don't need to sit in a room for an hour waiting for your exam. It sucks. And they crowded people in the room. It was already COVID at the time, and when I was in the room, there was like 20 people in the room. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the preparation process. How did you prepare for the CELPIP test?
Oh, I basically did every sample of the test that I could find or could buy from the CELPIP website. I even scout some of the YouTube channel from people that providing tests and providing like instruction. I try to do like a listening test or a reading test per day, 2 week right previous to my test. um yeah, that's what I did, and I also wrote a lot. So I tried to write like one piece of writing per day and give it to my instructor, so he can correct it. Yeah.
All right, I see. Okay, so you practice a lot, basically. And
I'm not gonna say that's a lot. I think that's moderately because I also working, so I
I
think it's just
see.
moderately one listening per day. I don't think that's a lot. You
Okay.
can do it.
All right. Were the exam questions similar to the practice tasks that you had done before, or was there anything that you didn't expect or was unusual, maybe?
I would say all of them are just like everyday life speaking,
Hmm.
except for of course the last part where you have to hear a lecture. But before that, everything is just normal and very casual. For the listening, I mean, for the reading, there might be a little bit, how to say, difficulty because they did mention some scientific things in the articles, but it's not the end of the world. It's still much more easier than I think. It might be just me and I got lucky on the test day. But yeah, I
Was
would
the
say it is.
format the same? The types of
The
questions?
format is the same. The type of question the same. I would say it's pretty much everything can find on the in the sample test that you purchase from the website.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what about, do you remember your writing prompt, like the email or the survey? Do you remember what they were about?
I remember. I kinda I remember roughly. No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay. That's all
Sorry, but I remember the first one. It's just an email. I think it was formal email, and yeah, the second is just a survey, a normal survey.
So you don't remember what it was about.
No, it's basically if you can do the one that's on the sample test, then you could do the one on the test. It
Okay.
just it's just changing up the subject, but nothing unexpected.
Mhm.
Seriously.
Okay, good. And what advice do you generally have for people who want to take the test in the future?
Oh yeah, I mentioned that with my instructor before. I don't think you guys should take note during the listening test.
Okay.
Seriously, you shouldn't. Even though it might sound crazy, it sounds crazy to me at first, but it's just much more easier to just remember what they say. Imagine you just talk to a friend or just hear two friends speaking and just being gossip. And it's just much more easier for you to just imagine what happened in the conversation and just answer the questions.
Right.
If you try to take notes, you're gonna get lost. Well, I've been there. So yeah, don't take note. That's the craziest vibe, but it's my word for you.
Any advice for speaking or writing?
For writing, I would say write a lot and try to remember the good structure, because I think good structure make the difference. So I didn't follow any structure with my first test this year, and it was a disaster. But I strictly follow the structure that I've been given through my instructor this year, and it works like a charm. Seriously, I didn't think I would get this kind of score. I was like, I was hoping for a 10 or 9. That would be okay, but I get an 11, so it's good.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I remember when we had classes before you
Hmm.
took the test, uh, you always kept asking me like, "Oh, I'm making so many mistakes, and will I get the score that I need?" You weren't expecting an 11, right?
No,
What was my response to you? I don't want this to be coming from me. I want you to.
yeah,
Do you what do you need to be perfect to get an 11?
yeah. You said, well, Sam said that I don't need to be perfect to get a 10 to 11, because even then, that's mean I made some mistake and I shouldn't focus on that. And you also said that I should stick to what I know. So like, don't go out of my comfort zone and try to write something that I'm not sure if that's right or not, because it's not about performing how well you know English, but how how you're comfortable using the right structure. And I think you should stick to that. Just do what you know is going to be correct, and just don't try to show off anything. Oh, I used to be that person, but
It took some time, but we got there, right?
yeah, so yeah, just stick to what you learn. And I don't think it's about these tests. I don't think it's about how well you know English. I think it's purely about studying. Like, just study the structure, the test format, and you're gonna get it. Even if you score badly, it doesn't mean that you have bad English skill. It just means that you don't know the test as well,
Right.
and you just have to keep on practicing, and that's it.
I agree. I agree 100%. All
Mhm.
right, Mandy. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I'm sure that a lot of the folks at home, they're going to find this video motivational, and they're going to do their very best to follow in your footsteps and get the score that they.
Wow, I hope that you guys got the best mark, because trust me, CELPIP is very new right now in Canada. If you're in immigration, right, like me, take the CELPIP. Just don't do IL. I don't know. It's much more pressuring. And CELPIP is $20 cheaper.
Oh, that's an added
Maybe
advantage.
you can cut that out. Whatever.
Honestly, personally, I think it tends to vary. My personal opinion is,
Mhm,
for some people, IELTS works better. For other people, CELPIP, depending on
mhm,
the test format. For example, do you want to be seated in front of an examiner, a real person? For some people, that is helpful, while for other people, they find it a little stressful, sitting in front of another person who might be signaling emotions. But when you're
mhm.
talking to a computer, when you're just recording yourself, for some people, that might be an easier experience altogether. So it really depends.
Yeah, funny. My friend was like, "I don't want to take selfie because you're speaking to a computer. Is that what I'm used to?"
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, of course, it's not what you're used to. But I don't know. I think it's easier because on the sample test, you already know the kind of question they're gonna ask,
right.
and there's no unexpected questions. So you should give it a try at least, I think.
All right. Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much, Mandy. It was a pleasure
Oh,
speaking with you today.
oh, you're very welcome. Very
All
welcome.
right. Bye.
Bye.